Many of you here today have probably taken ownership of one of his stockings that he made. There's a couple of samples on the table there too, just for those of you that don't know about them, but pretty much every grandchild, child, cousin, niece, nephew, friends of the family have had one over the years that he's put together. If you want one made, Jackie's going to be carrying on the tradition. She'll be happy to take your order. His woodworking.
Try is the word, not to try.
I think the word is try harder. Anyway, his woodworking was usually a garden piece, like a planter or a birdhouse or a wishing well, things like that. Mom usually finished them up with the painting, and then they were passed off to friends and neighbors to enjoy in their yards. His longest running hobby probably is stamp collecting. He started when he was a little boy. It was still stamp collecting this year. Passed on that tradition to both my brother and I when we were just in elementary school, probably 7 or 8 years old. And we still collect today, and now I have more than I need. Thanks, Dad. He also loved golf. There's a few golfers in this room that have golfed with Dad over the years too. When my brother and I were in elementary school, he decided to teach us the game of golf. So let's just say we learned about mulligans, water hazards, how to hook, how to slice, all those things. He should have got a pro. Anyway, the main thing was we got to spend hours together on the golf course over the years, and it was a great way to spend time together, even if we weren't great golfers. So my dad liked to roll up his sleeves and dive into many things, from home renovations to car repairs, painting, whatever he wanted to take on. He believed you could just about do anything you put your mind to. He convinced me of this too over the years. There's a story years ago when I was just starting to drive and had a truck. It wasn't a great truck, so it often broke down. But the first time it broke down, he took me to Metro Motors in Coquitlam. I thought we were going there to get some advice and some parts, but he ended up buying the manuals and telling me, now you can fix your own truck. So, and for years afterwards, I mean, that's all I did was I worked on my own car, so it had an effect. His sense of humor, though, that probably is the one thing everybody remembers him for the most. He had a great sense of humor. Even right up to the Thursday morning before he passed, we were in the hospital. Dad was quietly resting, his eyes were closed, but Jackie, also known as Yacky Jackie, she kept talking to him, asking him questions, making sure he was okay, seeing if he wanted anything. It was then that Dad reached up with his hand and gave her the gesture. And we all had a good chuckle that day. It was nice.
And can I add again, I was talking to Mom, and I got this too.
Our whole family's competitive. Dad was no exception. Years ago, David was maybe 2 or 3 years old. There was a competition at Guildford Mall. They had a couple of video games set outside on the mall, wherever it was. I think the game was Lock and Chase for Intellivision or something like that. They were giving away free posters if you could beat the competitor. Whoever won got a poster. So Dad thought, well, I could do this. So sure enough, he steps up to the podium there and plays the game, wins, hands raised in the air, does a little dance, and then we point to Dad to see the 6-year-old beside him getting off the milk crate that he just beat for the poster. Anyway, yeah, maybe a little too competitive. So about 20 years ago, I'm all over the map, by the way, just these stories were coming to me as I was thinking about what to write down, but about 20 years ago or so, we met Dad and Mom in California on a vacation with our kids. And one of our stops was Knott's Berry Farm. For those of you that are familiar, they have this giant wooden roller coaster that sprawls out over the parking lot. Anyway, I have a passion for roller coasters, and I really wanted to go on. Well, Tina wouldn't go on with me. My kids were too small to go on. Dad didn't want to go on. But I kept poking and prodding at him to, come on, we'll go. So eventually he said, okay, I'll go, but we're going to sit in the middle. I said, okay, fair enough. We get on the roller coaster, we're going through this ride, and I keep looking over at him, and he's white as a ghost. I thought, oh my God, I've killed my dad. Anyway, we get finally through the ride, and we get onto the platform, and I look over, and he's just pale. And he looks at me, he goes, okay, now we go in the front. So, yeah, that was quite the day. This has been said over and over too today, and it'll probably be said over and over in the future. He was very kind. He was always good to family, friends. He'd do anything you asked. You just had to ask him. Sometimes you didn't have to ask. You just do it anyway. But for us, at least growing up, he was our taxi service. He was the guy. He was the one that tried to avoid the noise in the house, if you will. So, my mom would often say it was, just wait till your dad gets home. But he was truly the softy in the family. He usually punished us by giving us money and saying, go to the movies or something like that. It wasn't really that bad. But he didn't always give us a pass. I remember a time Gordon and I had bought a pellet gun with our earnings from our paper route. It wasn't long after that we had it taken away. I mean, you shoot your sister one time. Anyway, yeah, I know, right there. It was a ricochet, Anyway. There's lots of things that we got to do together. We had, fishing was one of them. There was lots of stories about fishing, but one that really stood out to me was back in the 80s. Dad and I decided to go in the Vancouver Sun Fishing Derby that they held out of Horseshoe Bay. So we thought, hey, great idea. Instead of fighting the crowd in the morning, why don't we take the boat, launch it the night before, we'll stay overnight in the boat, and we'll be ready to go. It's a 14-foot boat. It's not a big boat. So we did. We launched it at the planetarium. We started going across English Bay and then heading towards Horseshoe Bay. We were about halfway across. There was a small craft warning. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but it means the waves are too big for the boat size that we're in. Don't go. Anyway, we were out there. We ended up getting a bit of a, sorry, lost my train of thought for a second. We got an escort from the Coast Guard the rest of the way to Horseshoe Bay. Our story didn't end there, though. I mean, it was a really fun trip, but in the middle of the night, I was sound asleep, but I was awakened to this chaos that was happening on the boat. Turns out there was a seal that could smell the herring bait that we had on board and was trying to join us. My dad was up for the challenge, though. He fended him off with an oar, so that was the end of that. And no, we didn't win the Derby either. There were other fishing trips, and some of the folks in here remember them too. Mike probably remembers that, going up to Pender Harbor and things like that with his dad, Pat, as well. Lots of trips, lots of solo trips too. Great opportunities to spend time together and just talking about nothing for the most part, but passing time together. Anyway, I should probably wrap it up. In closing, I'd like to thank everybody that participated in making today happen. There was a lot of work that went into this, right from setting the memory table to getting food to making arrangements, and thank you so much for all of that. In particular, I want to highlight a few very, very special people that basically took care of everything for the past few months. Our spouses, Tina, Marsh, and Donna, they were just incredible throughout this whole ordeal. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without you guys. And that's really all I have to say. If anybody else has anything at all they'd like to say or share, feel free. Mike's up here, or just wander around, tell your stories if you like. But again, thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it.